Today on Listen Up, we're talking football, the controversy to bring the NFL to Canada, and bringing God to the game, all in this special Super Bowl edition of Listen Up. Welcome to Listen Up. I'm Lorna Duick. It's a de facto holiday for many in North America, Super Bowl Sunday. Millions will gather in the tradition of watching the two best teams in the National Football League go head-to-head in a battle for the championship. It's become the most watched sporting event in American television history. Later in the show, we'll speak with one of the game's great Pro Football Hall of Famers, Jim Kelly. But not everyone's celebrating the NFL, as fans of the Canadian Football League look to protect the heritage of the sport in this country. I spoke with Toronto sportsman Paul Godfrey on why he's so intent to wade into the controversy to bring the NFL to Canada.
Well, I believe that the NFL is the only major league sport that isn't in Canada if you consider the four large sports, hockey, baseball, basketball, and football. Look, I am a great believer that the CFL should continue to exist, but I really believe that the people of Toronto and a lot of people in Canada would like to see Canada represented in the biggest football league in the world.
But the people of Canada aren't so sure.
Yeah, I can't see the NFL ever coming to Canada, well, specifically Toronto. We would never allow tailgate parties, and without tailgate parties, there is no NFL.
Canada getting an NFL team. Well, this discussion has been around forever.
Journalist and author Steve Paikin is a huge football fan. He's a season ticket holder with the CFL and has been to 17 Super Bowl games.
Back in the 1970s, there was a rival league to the National Football League that started called the World Football League. And there was a team that was going to move from the States up here. And the federal government stepped in and forbade it from happening. The Memphis Southmen were going to become the Toronto Northmen. And in order to protect the CFL, the federal government, Pierre Trudeau's government, stepped in and would not allow the franchise transfer to happen.
I think the CFL has a lot of rules that I like better than the NFL, but I think the overall brand, the worldwide competition, look, when there's only 8 teams in the CFL, and some of them have struggled to keep their attendance up or make a bottom line profit, I think that says it all.
What it says, according to Paikin, is that there's a good appetite for NFL football here in Canada.
People love football, and the NFL is very big league, very expensive, very impressive.
What would it cost to bring an NFL team to Canada?
I would suggest that it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of between $700 million and $1 billion, depending on which team's involved.
That's a lot of money in U.S. or Canadian dollars. So let's talk about the capital for that. How do we pay for that?
Well, first of all, it can't be a corporate ownership. The NFL has rules. It has to be individuals. And I think that you could put a consortium of prominent individuals. I would like to see it primarily Canadian, but not necessarily all Canadian, that would own the team. And there'd have to be one person that have to own at least 30% of the equity in the team.
Paul Godfrey's got it in his head to do it because A, he loves football, and B, he's done it before. He brought Major League Baseball to Toronto with the Blue Jays back in 1976. And, you know, for a lot of people, obviously, this would be, particularly for him, kind of like the crowning achievement of a career that he's had here.
And it turns out Paul Godfrey has competition for this idea. Toronto Mayor Rob Ford and his councillor brother Doug have announced they'd like to bring a team to the city too.
That would be amazing. I think you've got a good enough sports base in Canada that you could support an NFL team, and it would make it really exciting for sure.
Buffalo Bills fans, concerned about the possibility of losing their team, have a different view.
The fact that they want to move them out of the United States, I mean, we've had the Bills here for how many years in the Buffalo area? You know, a lot of people have been Bills fans. They've been here forever, so it would be sad if they left. Unfortunate.
Well, I mean, I can understand wanting to take a team to Toronto. I know they're like, Toronto is like the global market right now. I know they have a lot going on for them, but it just seems like the Bills have been here for so long that, you know, there's other teams that are up for sale right now that you might actually have an opportunity to bring, because I think the fans make the Bills who they are.
I'm still a big believer that the Canadian brand of football is a better, more entertaining brand. It's not as big league, it's not as, you know, not as much money, it's not as much everything, but the actual brand of football that's played is, I think, more entertaining.
On this particular issue, it's like a dog with a bone. You're not dropping it.
No, I'm not dropping it because I think that the majority of people who love sports would love to see the NFL in Toronto. I'm not for a moment declaring that the CFL will disappear. In fact, in many ways, I think the CFL could benefit from having the NFL in Canada. I think it would create a bigger interest in football. I think that Toronto, in fact, I would go out of my way to make sure that an NFL team in Toronto would be very supportive of a CFL team in Toronto.
So what would the City of Toronto need to do to get ready for this?
I think ultimately probably a new stadium in the long term. I don't think they have to do much more than get ready for that. I think many of the fans, as you can see from the enthusiasm that takes place over the Super Bowl, that they would welcome it with open arms. Sure, there are detractors and everything.
The prospects of it happening? You know, on the one hand, you'd have to say the prospects are pretty good. There are a number of NFL teams that are in flux right now, and it's not beyond the realm of possibility that one of them could end up moving to Toronto. On the other hand, there are a lot of people who love the Canadian Football League here and would not want to see anything affect the ability of the Canadian Football League to be strong. And it's an open question as to whether or not an NFL team in Toronto would affect the health and viability of the CFL. I don't know the answer to that.
Paul Godfrey thinks that he does. So do you have a timeline for when you think there'll be an NFL team in Canada?
Look, I'm an optimist. I think it's going to happen within the next 5 years.
When we return, an exclusive interview with Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly. You don't want to miss it.
If the NFL was willing to expand, yeah, I think Toronto would be a great place.